all across central New York. It's the 315 with Brian Higgins.
That it is, and here we are on this Monday on the show, getting close to wrapping up February. Just a couple of days left here in the month. Getting ready for Q Soups tomorrow night against Georgia Tech, second of two with the Jackets this year. With that, we will bring on our regular Monday guest here with Orange assistant coach Red Autry. And Red, I start with a happy, almost sort of birthday to you coming up later this week here. And you're a leap year birthday guy. What do you do in these years when you don't actually have your birthday on the calendar? Do you still get the cake? How does this work out for Red Autry? I don't know if Red is hearing us yet.
I can hear you now.
We'll get that. Oh, there's Red. Red, I said it is almost your birthday this week, sort of. You're a leap day guy. How do you handle your birthday in a year that doesn't actually have your birthday in it? That's got to kind of stink here.
Yeah, I just take the earliest day, the first day. I designate the last day for it.
All right. Well, we'll celebrate the 28th and the 1st. We'll give you two. It doesn't seem fair. You get robbed of that thing every year. So we get toward the end of February. But Red, great to have you on. Obviously, a tough stretch here for the team the last three games. How are the guys handling this in the locker room? Because I imagine it can't be a lot of fun, having these last three games go the way they have. Yeah,
the guys have been great. I think their mood is obviously a little down as far as the stretch, but we got two more games and it's a lot of season still left. When you put everything into the, when you kind of recant and remember the whole season, now you got to try to really think about, you take away these last three games, up until that point, even the losses that we had close losses where we competed. So right now, it's really about finishing these last two games. Can't just moving forward and then getting ready for the postseason. That's all you got to do is look ahead now. So right now, our focus is on Georgia Tech and getting prepared for that.
Yeah, and, Georgia Tech, a team you've already beaten. And you mentioned it had been, for the most part, close games, win or loss, for the last, 2 months until this last week. What do you think stood out about the difference? Because we saw close games with Virginia, Carolina, and Miami, and then not the case this last week. Is it just you ran into three teams playing well, or was something else a little bit off on your side of things?
Well, I think our defense, obviously, you can't give up 90 points and compete. So I think, first, you talk about our defense, and then in some of those other games, whether, one of our big three didn't play well offensively, I think that has something to do with it. But right now, it's just really, us focusing on our defense and getting back to rebounding the basketball. Typically, for the most part this whole year, we had done a really good job of, defending and rebounding, and in the last three games, we haven't won any of those categories, even though it's been close. Right. But we just haven't done a good enough job in those categories to compete.
And yeah, we saw Pitt. I mean, they hit 16 threes this last game. How tough is it when a team like that they caught fire after halftime? How tough is it to kind of get back into it on defense when they're making everything?
Well, I think we did a good job. Pretty much in the second half, going back and forth. But, they were hitting threes. We kind of countered with twos. So going back and forth, and then we just hit a stretch where, they, like you said, we pressed. They got a couple of threes up, and, that kind of separated, and they kind of, right from there, they just kind of kept going. So it was tough. And then we slowed down offensively for a bit. And with all that being said, we still scored 82 points. So, again, it's not our offense as much as, we really have to tighten up some things on defense.
Giving up 99, obviously not ideal against Pittsburgh on Saturday at the Pete. Red Autry is our guest, brought to you as always by Apex and the 110 Grill and Destiny USA. And Red, both of your forward spots changed starters this last game, which is, I'd say, an extreme rarity at this stage of the season, certainly with Coach Boeheim. Let's start with Benny. We've heard great things from practice last week, that he was playing at an unreal level, and then he certainly showed it on the court on Saturday. What did you first see in practice that led you guys to believe that we might get a game like this out of him?
I mean, I think the last 2 weeks, after, we made the change, I think he really started picking up and playing and practicing that way, and we were just waiting for it to translate. into the game, and eventually it did. He really responded. Credit to him. He didn't hold his head down. He went back to work. He kept working, and that wasn't just that game that he just had. We had seen that in the last 2 weeks of practice. He really responded well, and so that was the first game that it kind of carried over from.
And 24 points. He had 9 rebounds. His stats first half and second half, were give or take the same. He was producing for you both halves of the game for sure. Made 5 of 6 threes. All of this stuff is essentially career highs for him. What do you think it'll be for him to carry this over to another game? Because, a lot of guys have a one-off. What sense do you get that this is the start of something for him?
Well, I think you're talking about maturity and, how you approach everything. And I think, obviously, you don't try to mimic everything. You just want, we just want him to mimic the effort, the rebounding and the aggression on both ends of the floor. And that's that. Don't try to reproduce the numbers. Just reproduce the same effort, and that's how you start to become more consistent. And that's the things that we've been preaching to him. And even his team, we have a young team. And so you got to continually talk to them about giving consistent effort and approach every day.
Young team defines your other forward spot of the three. Chris Bell's been starting all season. He didn't play for you on Saturday. Justin Taylor got the start, and we saw a lot of Kadir Copeland. What led into JT getting his first start of his career on Saturday?
Well, I just think, that was coaches, coach, they kind of went with JT. It's been one of those things where, both of these guys are very talented. And so, trying to just, find the right combination still a little bit, trying to get an injection. When you start losing and you have some stuff, you just try to see what you can do to try to get the team playing better. And I think, those are just, it has nothing to do with how good someone is or not. It's just about what's better for the team and just trying to find those right combinations.
Yeah, we saw Chris Bell, I guess it was a bit of a surprise to us all. Okay, he changed the start, but he didn't play at all. He had a wrap on his shooting right hand a little bit, it looked like, or some tape or something when he was sitting on the bench. Do you expect him to be back involved tomorrow? Or what's the thoughts going forward here with Chris?
Yeah, he'll be fine, as long as nothing doesn't happen today in practice. So, he should be fine. He should be ready to go.
All right, famous last words, so hopefully all goes well in practice today. And Kadir Copeland, his minutes have been rising, I'd say, regardless of the other two, right, for the last, week and a half, 2 weeks. He's, of all the guys, you talk about effort and energy, he's not the one you need to ask of that. What has been pointing him more in the right direction here in the last couple of weeks?
You just gave us the answer, his effort, his energy. He's an unbelievable guy that can go off the bounce. He adds an element that when we play him, we get a 3-guard feel and another guy that can attack off the bounce and create some things. And he can push it in transition, as you see in every game that he's played. Increased minutes, he's always kind of gotten himself in that situation where he's got out in transition and got an easy basket or drove the ball to the basket and made a play. So he gives us another guard on the floor, and we can space it out and he can make plays.
Yeah, he's, when you recruited him, he was a big point guard by trade, and obviously you guys got Judah, and that changes the calculus of it a bit, at least for this year. How did he take to that? How did Q take to the idea of playing the three, and how different is that from what he's used to doing from high school?
I think he was fine. I think Q has a great mindset. He has a great approach. He's all for the team. Whatever he needs to do, however he can help, that's always been his mindset. And again, when he does play, he has that freedom when he does get the rebound, the ability to push the ball. So it's not that, that much of a difference. And when he catches it in the half court, he's still kind of trying to create and make plays. So I think it's just, does he bring the ball up? We give it to him and bring him up and he initiates our offense? No, but he still has a lot of opportunity to do what he does, to play the way he plays, which is attacking the basket.
This previous Georgia Tech game, you've already played him once. My goodness, Red, it's only a month ago. It feels like it was 78 years ago. That's a long time ago now that you won by 17 down there. What do you take out of that game? It was close for a little bit. You pulled away down the stretch. What are your big takeaways from that game the last time that we can see applied tomorrow night?
Well, hopefully, I thought we played together as a team. That was one of our better team wins. I thought everyone that stepped on the court that game contributed and had an impact. I thought we, like you said, it was close for a while, and then we kind of broke out of it and got ahead. I thought Judah was phenomenal in that game, and Malik, that was one of Malik Brown's, best games. I think he was 8 for 9, 18 points, 4 rebounds. He got on the glass. I thought we did a good job against Georgia Tech by getting on the offensive glass and really making a concerted effort to stop their shooters, and we rebounded the ball really well. So I think those things are always a recipe for us to be able to give ourselves a chance to win.
Yeah, you're up on the glass in that game. Joe had a hot shooting game and able to really run him off the court in the last, 7-8 minutes or so of that game down in Atlanta. Again, that'll be tomorrow night at 7 o'clock in the Dome. Then you got one more after that with Wake Forest on Saturday, Red. And this is another one of these games that's got a lot going on. Both Jerry and Hack are getting their jerseys retired during the game. What's that like? How do you absorb that? Like, you got a game to prepare for. You're playing a basketball, like that stuff. I can't even imagine what that's going to be like for Jerry on Saturday. How do you handle that as a team when there's so much other stuff going on that's, good stuff and cool stuff on Saturday?
I think the players are really focused on the game. And I think that's probably more of a question, obviously, for Jerry. It's a big moment, a special moment, well-deserved moment for him and Hawk. So I'm sure, he has a little bit more on his plate and trying to keep everything normal. But I think our players, the rest of the coaching staff, we're just trying to prepare for that game, and that's how we'll do it. And I'm sure Jerry will too, but I think he probably has a little bit more on his plate, because it's a special moment. I mean, it's something that, that just speaks to his career, and it's an honor to be recognized, and he deserves it.
Yeah, I think he said Katie's in charge of all the ticket requests for that on Saturday. Like Red, when Scranton shows up, they don't play around. Like they show up. No,
they
so
come.
I don't know how anybody.
They step out.
Yeah, it's aggressive. So I don't know how they're going to handle all that. There's going to be a few people in the house. All right, Red, we're looking forward to the last week of the regular season, assuming the timing works out next Monday with you guys travel down to Greensboro. We hope to do this again. But happy early birthday and good luck this week.
Thanks, Brian. See you later.
That is Red Autry, brought to you as always by Apex and the 110 Grill and Destiny USA. We'll have to coordinate the schedules next Monday. I'd imagine the team will be traveling down to Greensboro at some point on Monday. ACC tournament travel is so beyond wacky for any of the basketball teams that are not within driving distance. It's always hunky-dory for the Dukes and the Carolinas and the NC States and the Wakes for down there, but the charter plane companies, don't get me going on that for those trips down there. The amount of delays you get flying charter, not that you should ever complain about flying charter anywhere in your life. But when you're teams and you do it all the time, like the amount of delays that happen with this kind of crap for tournaments and stuff, and the women will be flying down tomorrow to Greensboro, it is uncanny because those charter companies, they like overbook it by, we can get the plane from Miami to Greensboro to Louisville to Greensboro to Syracuse to Greensboro, like to Pittsburgh to Greensboro. We can do that all by 3. Like what? You got the Concorde? How we doing this? Anyway, with that, we'll take a break. More good news from SU Athletics when we come back. Sarcasm font. Football news after this. It's outstanding, just like all the rest of it. More to come when we come back after this. It's QSportsTalk.com and ESPN Radio.